Joining me now from Perth is Special Minister of State and Federal Liberal Member for Tangney in WA, Ben Morton. On the day that a poll in the West Australian shows he's in danger of losing his seat, a 9.5% margin, it's 50-50. Ben Morton, thank you for your time. I guess I picked the right day to interview you. In all seriousness...
Well, we organised this a week out, Andrew, and I'm sure you... When I said to you this morning, you're sure you want to proceed today, I've never known you to respond so quickly to say yes.
That is correct. Look, just, you know, in all seriousness, are you frightened of losing your seat?
Well, look, I've made a very strong case, and will make a very strong case for my re-election in my seat of Tangney. I will be backing my record of delivery for the people of Tangney on issues that matter, like delivering funding for the Willetton Community Centre, whether it be delivering funding for the Canning Bridge Interchange project, working in cooperation with the McGowan government, whether it will be the Murdoch Drive connection or the planning money for Garden Street, Nicholson Road intersection. I've got a strong record of delivery for the people of Tangney, and I'm sure that's what's going to be important come election day. But also I'm part of the Morrison team, a team that actually understands Western Australia, and as we can see through Prime Minister Morrison's visit here today, focus on defence industry, focus on creating jobs in defence industry, but also focus on critical minerals and our important mining sector as well. So I believe I've got a strong record for re-election, and that's what I'm focused on, Andrew.
Does that result match your internals?
Well, I don't do internal polling, mate. I just do my job. And I do my job by working hard for the people of Tangney, by delivering for them. But not only have I worked hard for the people of Tangney, and I'll seek re-election on that basis, I've been part of the Morrison Liberal team as a senior minister in his government, supporting the work of the Morrison government, working closely with the senior members of our team over the last 2 years, which has resulted in a very strong economic recovery after a pandemic, resulted in one of the lowest case and death rates in the world from COVID, and very high vaccination rates. I've got an enormous amount to be proud of in relation to my contribution, both locally and nationally. And I'll be seeking re-election on that, Andrew.
Speaking of which, nationally, Madeleine King had a bit of quite a shot at you before. Without me even introducing the subject, I was just talking about seats in WA in general. She was on about an hour ago, and she said Ben Morton wasn't in his seat the entire last campaign, and he won't be there this campaign. Will that be the case? Will Scott Morrison need your support to the extent you won't even have time to campaign in your seat?
Well, it's just completely wrong when you hear these claims from Labor. You know, to claim that I wasn't in my seat at all the last election is completely false and wrong. Yes, I have a senior position in the government supporting the Prime Minister and the team, and I will balance those responsibilities by working even harder, both for our federal team and for my local community, and I've demonstrated I can do that. But look, if we're going to talk about these kind of issues, we had much publicised messages that Albo was visiting the seat of Tangney in his last visit. It was reported in the local papers, it was on the internet, it was talked about how he was visiting Tangney. Now, I challenge you to provide me any evidence that he actually did visit my electorate of Tangney. He says he'll do something, but then he doesn't do it. But with Albanese, worse, he'll say he won't do something, and you never know if he will actually follow through and do it as well. See, Labor Party get caught up in these spin cycles. They say that their leader in Albanese is going to visit Tangney. There's not one bit of evidence from any journalist that he went to the seat of Tangney when he last visited. There's not one bit of evidence on Albo's social media or on the candidate's social media. So I just don't fall for Labor's spin on these issues. I'm focused on working for the people of Tangney and delivering for them, as I've been doing, Andrew.
All right. Well, look, the PM keeps praising WA's COVID response, but he hasn't agreed with it all the way through, has he? Really? He didn't agree with the hard border.
The Morrison government has worked in partnership with the McGowan government in relation to the COVID response, Andrew. 50% of all the state health funding to deal with COVID have come from the Commonwealth, about 800 million worth already. There's been a strong partnership in relation to making sure that our hospital system and our public health response is ready to go when we need it here in
that may be the case.
And that's occurring.
That may be the case, but is it not a fact that he wanted the border open much earlier? So it does appear a bit disingenuous when he now praises Mark McGowan for how he responded to the pandemic.
We want to see the pandemic behind us. There's no doubt about that. And what Australia has achieved means that we can put the pandemic more and more behind us in a way in which we have succeeded as a nation. And WA has succeeded as a state. That is something that you just can't argue about. that is something that we've worked with the McGowan government in cooperation on. Now, people arc back to 2020 in relation to the Commonwealth playing the role that it ordinarily would in constitutional matters. What was really interesting there was that, just like many things in the pandemic, you have to do things differently. And it was Scott Morrison that decided to do the unusual thing, do the thing that isn't normal, and to withdraw the Commonwealth's usual support and engagement in allowing the High Court to consider issues of a constitutional nature and back WA's position. I look forward to the Morrison government working in cooperation with the McGowan government, as it's been doing, whether it be in infrastructure, whether it be in relation to our defence industry work. Yesterday I was with the Prime Minister announcing over $4 billion to build a dry dock, which will be like massive in WA. And what this project, why it's important, is that it's 500 jobs in construction. And when we hear about construction jobs, normally there's less jobs in operations, but this project is going to deliver 500 jobs in construction and then 2,000 jobs ongoing for the people of Western Australia. And there are great synergies between the mining industry and our defence industry capabilities we're building here.
And I'm sure that's the case, but could the election be lost in WA, and why is Scott Morrison, according to those polls, so on the nose in WA?
Well, the elections are always critical choices that the Australian people have to make. And these are not choices like what tie am I wearing today. These are choices that come with consequences. They come with consequences for you personally, for your family, for your children, for your business, for your parents. And so when the Australian people turn their mind to that choice and the consequences for them, like here in Western Australia, there is a choice between a leader in Scott Morrison who's delivered on the GST, who understands the support needed to support our mining industry, who's working on economic diversification through our defence industry program, and today has announced modern manufacturing investment for our critical minerals sector, or someone like Anthony Albanese, who quite frankly is hiding from the spotlight, is hoping to go unnoticed, is hoping to skate through to this election without the blowtorch being put on Anthony Albanese, his team and his policies, which history will show us is not good for Western Australia.